AIOU is proud to host this event as part of our 2025 STEAM Ahead campaign in celebration of International Women's Day. So, my name is Sindhu, and I'm an associate psychologist intern here. I will be the moderator for today's session. I hold a master's degree in industrial and organizational psychology, along with an academic background in botany and zoology. I'm beginning my journey in the renewable energy sector and sustainability, and I am extremely happy to be a part of this event. We also have Shashwati, our CEO, and Vishal, our associate IO psychologist, which I'm sure many of you have interacted with him before. All of you have interacted with him before. So at AIOU, we're deeply committed to sustainability, and we are super excited to explore the amazing work you've been doing in the renewable energy sector. And we look forward to learning more about your diverse perspectives and your experiences during today's discussion. So renewable energy sector is not just about technology, right? It's about people, passion, and a commitment to a sustainable future. And now I'd like to introduce the four incredible leaders here today who embody that spirit. First of all, we have the amazing Namita Deodhe, a solar expert with experience in gigawatt scale projects, to shed light on the exciting world of solar careers. We also have Supriya Bansal, a chartered accountant and sustainability thought leader, to share her expertise on bridging finance, sustainability, and operational excellence. We also have Suchitra Bisen, a seasoned social expert, talking about the crucial role of social impact assessments in ensuring sustainable and responsible development. And finally, we have the incredible Ruhi Gupta, corporate communications champion and a passionate storyteller, talking about the importance of stories and narratives in the renewable energy sector. So, thank you all for joining. Let's get started. Yeah. So, to kick things off, we would love to get a glimpse into your daily work life. So, Namita, could you maybe paint us a picture of what exactly you do in the renewable energy sector and what a typical day looks like for you?
Yeah, so hello everyone. First of all, happy Women's Day to all women who are there standing out like working housewives and every woman there. So happy Women's Day to all of you. And for me, I'll tell you about my background. Like my background is from the engineering. So I completed my engineering from the electrical, BTech electrical in engineering, and then I completed my master's in electrical power systems. So basically, in the renewable energy sector, my overall job is regarding the engineering point of view. So it's a technology assessment, and while any new project comes, so there will be all the design and everything will be from the engineering point of view. So for me, it's different softwares I work on. Then for solar energy, we work on solar energy, wind, then biogas, hydrogen, then green energy. Any project comes into the renewable. So for my focus is mostly on the solar. So I for my daily work, I work for the tools and all the energy assessments like that. Overall technical profile you can say about that. And yeah, for me, I don't know why, but since my you can say school projects, when I go back into the history, so my all projects are related to solar, wind, and then all the renewable energy only. So maybe in MTech, luckily I got chance to work on the project for the rooftop solar energy. But on this point of view, when I want to introduce like this, so I look back, then I realize that my every project in my school days, college days, then we take all the seminar reports, they are related only for the renewable energy sector. And that's why it's the history, or it's the my future written over in the renewable sector only. And yeah, I'm proud to be in this sector. And yeah, that's it, my day and my work like this for this sector.
Great. Yeah, I'm so glad, that you get to follow your childhood passion and are
Yeah,
working on solar and wind is what you do for a living. That is so great.
yeah,
I've also read that you work on floating solar,
yeah.
which I find so incredibly cool. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? Floating solar panels. Can
Yeah.
you maybe elaborate more on that?
Yeah, for floating solar, it's like the PV modules installed on the water bodies, you can say. So for the floating solar, like you can see all the projects are like on the ground mounted or free space like that. Okay, but overall world there is so many space for the reservoirs, then for lakes and like that. Okay, so for that floating solar concept is used, and there PV panels are installed on the water bodies with the help of other components and structures like that. But yeah, that's on water bodies, and it has very advantage, like from the environmental perspective as well. We keep clean water, then we can save some natural habitants from that, and so many things. And effectively for the solar as well, it's advantageous because due to water, it don't get heated due to the cooling and all. We get the higher amount of energy efficiency in the floating solar. Yeah, so that's interesting thing. And nowadays, it's in very you can say focus for the so many people, because for the dams and for reservoirs and agricultural canals like that. So yeah, in India, like it's now very hot topic nowadays, and so many people are getting installed floating plants in their premises. Right?
That's so great. Yeah, it makes sense, right? There's a lot of area in dams and reservoirs that, there's a lot of missed potential there. So that's great. That's super interesting to know. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So now we all know that finance is a crucial ingredient in driving sustainable growth. So Supriya, can you shed some light on your work within the sector?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Again, welcome everyone, and nice to learn from each other and grow together, possibly. Um, so wherever there is compliance, there are chartered accountants. This is a old saying, and I'm sure you would have seen this everywhere. Now, while EHS, the environmental health and safety, has always been inground in every factory, right? But you'll all observe it is all recently being surfaced, and all of a sudden it has got a limelight. Earlier, no one was asking an EHS person. He was sitting in one corner of the factory or the plant and doing what he was supposed to do. But all of a sudden, we are seeing this happening. And where is this all emerging from? This all emerging because, there is compliance. There is a lot of focus which the Indian government is taking on the corporates. And sadly, but Indian corporates work if they are tied to some compliance, right? They want to do something only if it's compliance driven. And that is where our role really steps in, of how, as soon as they made BRSR mandatory, as soon as they made a lot of accounting standards mandatory, a lot of reporting mandatory, there is where we as chartered accountants started, entering into this field, because assurance, it's all about assurances. Who better can do an assurance rather than a CA, right? So this is how, ESG is getting tied to what we do. Now, that is the reason finance steps in into it. And one also important thing is sustainability. I have a great panel here, and all of sustainability is not only about corporates. Also look at what they will get in return. They also want to know that is the investment they do worth the return. Now, of course, we all know that sustainability is from brand reputation and all the perspective they want to stand. But currently, because of we becoming a global organization, all the companies are across the globe. If they do not do something, they will not stand, they will lose orders. We are seeing many clients losing orders, they're not getting purchase orders if they are not ESG compliant, if they're not sustainability compliant. And that's the reason we're seeing this, as a global trend of how this is shaping the Indian industry. And one good thing which India has done is, at the earlier part of the cycle, brought in lot of transparency and vigilance, and it's actually first in the race to actually make it a compliance driven thing, because that is the thing, it is happening. So this is how we are, from a finance perspective, we are helping companies not only from a reporting perspective, but also from a lot of carbon credits, how you will earn out of when you do something related to climate, is the thought many promoters or many managing directors I speak to like with, because they want the bug for whatever they invested. So why not? So this is how we are seeing a lot of trend coming, and that is how it is very very close now to what finance things are, and how finance is very very tied to what ESG is all about.
Right, absolutely. And I really resonate with your point about the business case for EHS and sustainability. Also, this one interesting point that I saw, that you specialize in CBAM advisory.
Yeah.
Could you maybe tell us more about that? Sounds interesting.
So as EU is focusing on a lot of compliances, and they want, so CBAM has come from a perspective that no one should start. Hello, are we there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I thought there's a network issue. I lost everyone's camera here. So are we there? Yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay,
We can
perfect.
hear you.
Perfect. Right. So a CBAM is basically a carbon border adjustment mechanism. EU has brought this regulation, and it is also tightening the regulations further and further. Of course, recently it has given some leeway to the corporates to make it little relaxed. But to avoid anti-dumping in EU, this mechanism has brought in force, so that whoever is the exporter from India, from a non-EU jurisdiction, whoever is exporting into EU, they need to adhere to compliances and as per the norms which EU has set. If they do not do that, they will have to pay carbon tax, and they will have to pay to the for the exports which they do. And that's the reason we are seeing a lot of companies who are exporting to EU doing this quarterly certification. And it is the interest of the company who's exporting to do it, because EU is very strict on it. If you do not fulfill, they will not take you as part of your preferred supplier. As simple as that. And that's the reason there's a lot of notifications coming. Best part is EU has also made little relaxation in terms of when the CBAM is applicable. They're trying to help the corporates. They're helping with the transition phase. But from 1st of January coming year, if they do not follow those norms, most of our exporters from India will get severely affected. As of now, of course, CBAM is for only the 6 high emission sectors which they have rolled out for, which is high intensive carbon emissions like iron and steel, fertilizers, like hydrogen. But we see slowly that they are going to extend it to textiles. They're going slowly extending it to other products, but it will all happen in a gradual manner. So we see a lot of potential, and we see a lot of compliances which a non-EU entity, if they are exporting to EU, will have to follow CBAM. So this is how CBAM is tightening its norms, and it is actually in a good spirit, because what the what EU companies in EU started doing is to avoid the tax in their own country. They started setting up plants outside EU, and trying to get away with paying taxes. And there is where they want to capture that, because then it doesn't go in the spirit of why they had taken the tariff structure. So this is how there's a rationale behind it, and we see a lot of scope in CBAM going forward.
Understood. Great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Supriya. So it's also important to remember that green energy projects can also have social and environmental impacts. So, Suchitra, could you maybe shed some light on how a typical day works for you?
We cannot hear.
Yeah, if you.
Sorry. Actually, let me tell you very frankly to all of you, a day in the life of social expert in renewable energy sector is anything. But it's dynamic and purpose driven and deeply connected with the communities to whom we serve. And if you'll ask me about my routine, so my day begins with the community engagement only. Whenever I enter in the office, my first role is to interact with the local community, just to understand them, listen to them carefully. And at the same time, I conduct the baseline survey, need assessment. And while we do the need assessment, we need to keep in mind about the demand basis need. Because most of the time it happens if we are entering any corporate people are entering in any village, they will ask for anything. But now, being a social expert, you will have to decide what exactly they are in need of. So, on priority, whenever I enter in the village, I interact with the people, I cross check the things, and on the basis of that only, I used to design the planning about the social initiatives. But whenever I plan all those things, so I generally keep in mind about their livelihood enhancement, improvement in infrastructure, foster education, and internally also we have so many departments. So I spend my time just to interact with the other people also, because they are also the part of lupine. They should also know whatever I am doing as a social expert. I explain to them about the what is the exact condition of the villages where we have located our plants. uh, Beside this, in short, suppose you will ask me, I spend my most of the time with interaction with the rural people, and I really love to interact with them.
Mhm. Understood. So a lot of on-ground work, right?
Yeah,
Directly
yeah.
working with the community. Got it. Understood. Great. So moving on, we also know that stories and narratives play a powerful role in shaping public perception and driving action on sustainability. So Ruhi, can you tell us more about your work in communications and how you sort of leverage storytelling to advance the renewable energy sector?
Absolutely. Thank you. That's an interesting question. To put it simply, I'll say that no 2 days are the same in corporate communication. It's a very, very dynamic role that blends strategy, storytelling, and brand building, all with the goal of driving awareness, brand building, and reputation. So the major part of my work is planning. So I go through industry news, I track policy updates, I track any technology update, I review media coverage, because staying ahead of the curve is critical in this space, because energy transition conversation are constantly evolving. I my job also requires me to connect with leadership function heads so that um, I am aligning the key messages on any upcoming announcement, or if there's any success stories, any partnerships, or investor communication. And then come execution. And that is where I focus on content strategy. So whether it's writing press releases or leadership thought pieces, participating in industry stories, updating social media channels, writing for internal newsletters, I work closely with each department, each function. So from ESG and operations to HR, ensuring that any messages that I'm trying to deliver is clear and consistent. The major part of the role is to engage with media, journalists, editors, so that we are amplifying the brand presence externally. So I'll say that at the heart of it, corporate communication in renewable energy sector is about shaping perception, also about influencing conversations around sustainability. The job role is very exciting, it's fast paced, but it's incredibly satisfying. It's incredibly fulfilling, because every message we put out contributes to a bigger vision, a cleaner, greener future. And I think that keeps me motivated every day. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that wonderful glimpse into your life. And I really like the way how you put it, you're blending strategy and storytelling. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
So now shifting to some advice, right? So many are passionate about entering the renewable energy field, and I'm sure they would love to hear from seasoned experts in the sector. So, Namita, what is one piece of advice that you would share to someone wanting to start a career in solar technology and engineering? Namita, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So, for me, like being a technology expert, for us, moreover, profile is for the engineering side. So, for this, I would advise as whoever is working for the electrical engineering, then electronics, mechanical, civil, like in the engineering, every perspective covers, right? So for them, it's a good chance, being electrical background, what I learned in my engineering, in my MTech, so I'm going to put this knowledge in my working. So that's another level of happiness, because what you like and what you learned, and you're getting opportunity to apply that in your career. And yeah, that is my for the whoever wants to enter this as a career, it's a very good opportunity, because in renewable sector, whatever technology you work on, it's not only about reducing the just the carbon footprints, right? Here we are just creating a very cleaner and more good planet for the future generations who are coming. And that is the most of the satisfaction working in this field, right? Because as a part of business, as a part of finance, that are things at one point, but the through this working and through this field, we are creating more like a clean version of our earth, planet for the future generation. That part is there. So this is the main advantage people should, like, who are having interest in this field. It's a very good and interesting technologically, then from design point of view and everything. So that is my advice for who wants to come to this sector.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, moving on to Supriya, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to young professionals navigating the challenges of entering finance in the renewable energy field?
Yeah. So let me just set us some background. As you know, as we discussed at the start of our conversation, um, earlier this was not a very demanding field where very people want to join. But what we are seeing, and based on how we are seeing sustainability being talked across, not in India but across the globe, there are a lot of talks of even people trying to offshore and set up some centers here in India to do sustainability globally. The way the GCCs have come in, sure and soon you will have a sustainability GCC here in India. Having said that, the even if today, if anyone who is searching jobs just searches on green skills, searches on green jobs, they will see that there's almost 11% increase in terms of the jobs being posted on LinkedIn, jobs being posted on this, because everyone wants experts who are doing this, right? And that's the reason now it's become a very, very attractive field, a very, very demanding field. So I would really encourage all the people who are a little bit concerned, who are a little bit caring, and who want to develop a field in a career in this. It's actually the right time. Further, we see that within ESG itself also, there are a lot of different streams people can pick up, right? Carbon credits itself is a one stream of how people can specialize into that. So that could be one avenue. Second avenue could be a sustainability manager in an organization. Third avenue could be an assurance avenue. So there are different sectors, subspecialties of how they can pick up. Some people who have already skilled, have already done their graduates, probably they can do their reskilling, right? People who are just entering into the early careers or something, they can pick up these roles, pick up internships around this. A lot of organizations need people, they can pick up internships and gain those knowledge there. So these are different avenues of how we feel that students should take up. There are a lot of certifications available. Lot of courses now available, and it's actually the right career choice for our young Gen Z and the millennials now on sustainability is what I can say.
Got it. Thank you so much, for sharing more on the different avenues
Mm.
within ESF. And absolutely agree with you. Green energy sector is seeing a really good boom right now. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks.
Move on to you, Suchitra. So, what guidance would you offer to aspiring professionals to, help them thrive and make a meaningful impact in your field?
Actually, for young innovators, the future of the energy now is in their hands. And if we are talking about the renewable energy, then renewable energy is not just a choice. Actually, it's a path for the greener and brighter future. And so, lead the charge and be open for the change. And we all know very well, everyone have to manage the crisis. And my suggestion, my advice is to just be open and be ready to accept the all changes. That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much. It also reminds me of this one proverb. I think it's a Native American proverb where you're not inheriting the earth from your ancestors, but you're borrowing it from your children. So, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that advice. And Ruhi, to wrap up this round, what would you like to share to people on how to effectively use their voice to contribute to this sector?
Yeah. So my advice will be to stay informed, be adaptable, and like Namita said, believe in the mission. Firstly, you know the industry. Renewable energy is constantly evolving, so it is important to keep up with trends, policy, regulatory changes, and innovations because it's going to help you to craft stories that truly matters. Second is to be a storyteller because this sector isn't just about numbers; it's about people, it's about purpose, it's about impact. Learn to turn complex ideas into powerful relatable stories. Third is to build strong connections, whether it's with media, whether it's with internal teams, external stakeholders. Great communication is all about good collaboration, so your approach needs to be very very collaborative. And finally, stay agile. Things change really fast in this sector. Sometimes you will have to manage crisis, like Suchitra mentioned. So the key is to be quick, clear, and transparent in your messaging. Most importantly, believe in what you are communicating. So if I am very passionate about renewable energy sector, it should reflect in my work so that I'm inspiring others. So don't just be a corporate communication professional, be a brand custodian. That's what I always say everyone who wants to join renewable energy sector in corporate communication, that you're not just communicating well, but you are building their brand, you're managing their reputation, so you're a brand custodian for them. So that is my advice to the youngsters.
Thank you so much. That was super, insightful, not just to this sector, but to the professions in general, right? Great. Thank you so much. We have some really good advice, being passionate in the sector that you choose, and also to see which avenues you can apply your skills in. And yeah, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for sharing. And now, finally, let's look ahead, right? So maybe we're also interested in your perspectives and your insights. So I'm coming back to you, Namita, as a solar technology expert. What exciting advancements do you see on the horizon for the solar industry?
Yeah. So, like for solar projects, there are like normal ground-mounted projects are there nowadays. Okay, but there are some upcoming technologies. Like you can see, the agro PV is one of the booming sector. Like they are taking the in the farms, they are putting solar farms, and below solar PV modules, they are cultivating like agricultural whatever the as per the site or area they have. Okay, so that is agro PV is one of the new technology that is coming. Then floating solar, as we discussed in earlier, like floating solar is also very interesting because in like India as well, so many canals, lakes, then dams are there, reservoirs are there. So there, that is also one of the upcoming technology and interesting thing that is coming up there. Then nowadays, like Indian government has launched the rooftop scheme, right? So for them, like every house, every home, or every institution, office, everyone that should be capable of whatever they are consuming, they should generate their own energy from the rooftops, and whatever extra energy they are generating, that will be transferred into grid, like wherever it is lagging, it can like net metering kind of concept. So that is also interesting, and now there is a scheme. In that scheme, like they are getting some subsidies for installing rooftops, and you like so many villages, small places, schools, institutions, they are doing that work under that policy. And yeah, that is one of the third thing, very encouraging for the technology side. And as you if you ask me as a technical expert, then PV modules are evolving. Like the modules which we were using 10-15 years back, they are having a low efficiency. Now technology has evolved from the polycrystalline to the monocrystalline thin film modules, bifacial modules. So like technology is evolving very fast. Like if module efficiency is getting very better nowadays. And in terms of cost as well, like 10 years back, the cost of solar PV projects was very high. Like per unit cost for the 1 unit what solar is generating, that is having 8-9 rupees of per unit cost. And now it has like dropped to so like 2-3 rupees, and even less than that in competitive market. But yeah, so technically cost point of view, like everything is evolving very faster in this sector. And it's interesting as well, like as I mentioned, floating, agro PV, then thin film solars also coming. Like it's like a paper, like a calendar kind of thing. You can hang it out to the windows and it can generate. And so many equipments are there, like for kids, there are some cars like that. There are wind turbines are there, you can put in your gallery, and decorative part as well. So like so many things are there technically and for the every point of view. Yeah.
Got it. So mainly agro PV and thin film solar panels, right? If you could maybe choose one innovation that you personally feel would be a game changer for your industry, what would you maybe pick?
Uh, I think solar rooftop will be the also game changer, because every home, everyone will have that own generating plants. That can be a big game changer, but obviously awareness has to be done, and people need to understand the importance of doing that, and obviously it need to be cost effective for everyone. Then only people will install and have that. So that will be a game changer, having everyone generating their own energy kind of thing through the renewable and very clean form. What I
Understood. Got it. So also from an engineering perspective, right? You mentioned that you work with softwares as well. Have you seen any of the softwares evolving from when you started to now?
Yeah, so in engineering, like there are so many softwares. We mainly use the PVSys software for solar. So for PVSys, it is a bankable software. So that is there. So it is having some updates as per technology, different points, like different things are technically coming up like that. So that is one of the key software everyone use across the industry for the solar sector. So yeah, so many like changes are there as per the technology, as per the for solar field, like solar resource, like irradiation also changes. Like due to climate change and everything that each like for across the globe and even across the different regions of India. Like you may heard in the news, like this year solar irradiation falls down by this much of percent for this area, then for this area, that all the like environmental factors. So yeah, so many things changes in through the softwares, and so many like environmental factors are accountable for this, and nowadays so many softwares are there for designing, like preparing plant layouts. And you can see like there is now artificial intelligence like AIML, and so many softwares are there. You have to just put the land coordinates and you'll get every design to be done, like all the electrical calculations, civil calculation, plant layouts. So many things are available in the market. But yeah, that is the regarding softwares.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that regarding AI, machine learning, and automation. I'm sure people who are interested in this field would find this super insightful. Moving on, Supriya, from your perspective in finance and sustainability, how do you see this sector evolving in the coming years, and what role would finance play in accelerating this transition?
So, what we see is everyone in the corporate is very inclined to doing more and more in this space now, because it's the reputational damage if they do not really do it. I mean, that's for given. Also, earlier, switching to renewable sources of energy was a very costly affair, right? But these days, because of the advance in technology, like Namita has rightly put, the cost of solar panels has dropped. The cost of things, but earlier when this was initially evolving, people were finding it very difficult to adapt to it. And now it has dropped. Also, the government is doing a lot of policy changes. Like example, if you'll have heard about smart meters. Now it replaces our normal electricity meter, which was put in our household or the commercial places. A smart meter can also tell you that which appliance in your home or your factory is consuming more electricity. Example, how can you reduce electricity cost? If you are paying X amount, what is your neighbor paying? So all the artificial intelligence and data mining is there for you to indirectly force you to reduce your carbon emissions and at the same time reduce your electricity bill, right? So such policy interventions, such government forward thinking, further, since we are also a global organization now, a lot of things which was listed down in the Paris Agreement, many countries have signed up for it. What was listed in the COP was already signed up by many countries. So we are seeing that, people are really conscious. People want to invest in this. One thing which India has also started doing is earlier only the carbon credits is more in Europe, which is called the European Transmission System, ETS was they call. Now India is adopting a very similar approach. You would have heard in the news, like Himachal Pradesh has recently launched the a notification on they want to really set up the carbon credits. This was there also in India a few years ago, but actually died because of the poor monitoring, double accounting, double counting of credits. So not properly measured and monitored, and that's the reason it died. Many corporates ended up with certificates which are just lying as a physical form and they have no value left. But now, with government interventions, with setting up a proper structured registry, applying to a registry for claiming your carbon credits, doing a proper audit and verification around it, gives you a credibility to whatever certificate you get in terms of carbon credit, and it has become like a tradable commodity. The market is of course yet evolving. Best part would be if a developing country and a developed country join hands in hands, because if India wants to sell only in India, it will have less merit. But developing country like India, if they wants to sell abroad, it will have definitely better merits, right, in terms of the price for it. So this is how I see it evolving, and we see that everyone has to work on this together. It cannot be done in isolation, but we are seeing lot of policy changes, lot of moves around those lines. So it should really work in the interest of everyone, is what I could say.
Understood. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing more on that. You've spoken about the changing policies, the changing mindsets of people, and also what how much potential there would be if countries started collaborating with each other on this. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Suchitra, coming back to you as a social impact expert, how do you envision the social and environmental landscape changing along with the growth of renewable energy?
Um, Actually, renewable energy is not just about the technology. It's about the communities and people too. And we all know in India, this sector is growing rapidly. And today also and in future also, there will be in need of the skilled workforce for the successful commissioning of the plant and for on-time completion of all these projects. So along with this brighter, greener, and everything sustainability, we should also focus, and every IPP should also focus and think about the local level skilled workforce. And I'm really very happy to share with you all. Blue Pine has also till now we have established near about 21 skill development training centers in 4 states, that is Gujarat, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, and Karnataka. And let me tell you very frankly, during initial phase, during construction phase, we have recruited all these local skilled workforce, and it help us a lot for the completion of and commissioning of all these projects. So in my opinion, every IPP should think about this, because we are getting the senior level, management level people from urban areas, but during the initial phase, during construction phase, we face a lot of problem. Now we have established centers, we have means all has been done through baseline survey, need assessment survey, then enrollment of beneficiaries, 6-month complete training program in which everything was explained by trainer. We have also organized the exposure visit for all beneficiaries, and after completion of 6-month training program, the complete examination done, they have been awarded, all beneficiaries have been awarded by the certificates. And now, if you will compare about their monthly income, what was earlier and what they are earning now, so you can feel the difference. And here, only I would like to say ki in words, I can't explain all these things, but suppose you will go and interact with them, so you can see the happiness on their faces. Ruhi knew all these things very well because earlier she was completely with me and we have done a lot of work. I have learned so many things from her. And this is only the reason I will also suggest to every IPPs and other companies which are involved in renewable energy sector, they should also think about all these things, about their local skilled workforce. It's really useful for company and for the smooth completion of their projects at local level. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Suchitra. And yeah, coming back to Ruhi, right? As a communication strategist, how would you see the role of storytelling and narrative in shaping the future of the sector?
Uh, I will firstly thank you, Suchitra, for reminding me of my good old days. And I've heard all three of them, and they've covered about the sector very well. I would like to stress on a few points regarding the sector, um, and then I'll come to your question. Um, I see that renewable energy as a sector, we are very dynamic, very transformative. I see India is at the forefront of this global shift. Um, with Government of India's target to achieve 500 gigawatt by 2030, we as a country are making impressive progress. I was reading today in the morning that we have achieved around 217 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity as of January 2025. Namita covered a lot of point in terms of technology, but what is very very impressive today, when I read about progress, is how industries and corporates are rapidly embracing clean energy solutions. They are integrating renewable energy into their operations to meet sustainability goals or regulatory requirements. So I'll say this, that this transition is no longer a choice. It's a strategic imperative. Namita mentioned about agro PV and how solar panels are changing in terms of technology. I would also like to focus on how we are driving investment in hybrid projects, which are solar plus wind, or FDRE projects, which are firm and dispatchable renewable energy projects, to ensure that we have round the clock clean power. I would also say that as a country, we are preparing for much complex energy landscape. Namita, correct me if I'm wrong. We are leveraging battery storage technologies, which are new, but we're trying our best. We see tenders and bids coming out in this technology. We are investing a lot in digital solutions to enhance our grid stability and grid health. However, I would stick to Suchitra's point that it will only happen. I mean, it must be a just transition, just an inclusive transition that ensures economic growth, job creation, and social equity that will go hand in hand with sustainability. Of course, the path ahead is ambitious, but we have to see innovation, collaboration, and commitment. And I think we are ready to redefine the future of this alternative energy. When you talk about how I set my narrative so that it's appealing enough, the storytelling here is simple, Sindhu. I have to be timely. My story needs to be compelling, and my story needs to be engaging enough. That is how I set my narrative. And whatever narratives that I will set as a communication professional, it has to align with my business goals. It has to support my business. Uh, so that is how I see it. That is how I do it.
Great. Thank you so much, Ruhi. Uh, Thank you for also helping me summarize what each of us have said. So that's really great. And also, your words remind me of this another quote by Terry Pratchett, where he says that people think that stories are shaped by people, when in fact it's the other way around, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, great. Thank you so much. So, we've covered a lot of ground in this discussion. Before we wrap it up, is there anything that anyone would like to share? Any ideas that you would like to share with the other leaders and the people who are listening to this discussion?
Yeah, first, whatever discussion has happened, like it's very interactive, and so many like different perspectives are there from the each of the for each of us, like professional area is different, some are technological, from financial point of view. I just want to summarize whatever we have discussed, in future, energy demands are obviously increasing for India and globe. So whatever renewable energy is coming, so that would be having some key points that I'll mention now. So whatever energy resource or technology you are selecting, that should be politically acceptable. Then second thing is it should be socially desirable. And third thing will be it should be technologically feasible. Then it should be financially viable, administratively doable, then emotionally relatable. As Suchitra said, like for social, it should be emotionally relatable and environmentally sustainable. So whatever the energy source like we are choosing, it should cover all these points, and then only we will have a more cleaner version and more clean energy for everyone. That I want to summarize all of us in this few key points.
Thank you
Amazing.
so much.
Nicely summarized, Namita.
Yeah.
That was so beautiful in terms of a summary. I was so stunned for like few seconds. I was like, you covered everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Anybody else has anything else to share? Suchitra, I actually want to ask you a little bit more, if it's okay. And Sindhu, with your permission, is it okay if I ask her a couple
Go
of questions?
forward. Please,
Thank you.
please.
So, Suchitra, I just wanted to, because you do impact assessments, right? Can you talk a little bit about impact assessment? Like from a technical perspective, let's say we're talking about people who come from the arts background, sociologists, right? Or people who want to maybe move to the sector. Impact assessment is very popular. They've already heard the word, but many probably don't understand what it is. If you can help us understand what it is.
Actually, for example, Shashwati, if we will talk about the skill development training centers, everything is fine. We have done with the initial study, then need assessment. We have enrolled beneficiaries. I have already shared with you all. Completion, then certificate distribution, everything is fine. But when we float RFP, that time only we used to mention after completion of all these 6-month training program, we need the 80% employment of all these beneficiaries. The reason behind this, suppose we are spending any huge amount or small amount, even 5 rupees or 50 lakhs, we should get the fruitful results from them. So here, when we are talking about the impact assessment, once the study done, training done, after that, we will go for the impact assessment. Impact assessment means we need to decide specific different parameters. For example, in skill development training program, when we will go for the impact assessment study, the major on priority, the number one parameter would be financial improvement, monthly income. What was their monthly income earlier and what is right now after completion of this training program? And second important thing, when we are talking about any social impact assessment, then we have to think about all the 16 parameters of quality of life. That includes everything, clothing, food, education, health, everything. We need to decide about these 16, 15, 14 to 16 parameters of quality of life. And then we can assess what was the status of all these parameters earlier and what is right now. On the basis of that, quantitatively and qualitatively, in both ways, we can calculate what was the quality of life of that particular family before that particular initiatives. Here I'm giving the example of skill development, but there are so many other health initiatives, education, but these all parameters will be same. When we are talking about any human being, all these 16 parameters will come.
Absolutely. Right.
This is nothing but the impact assessment. We need to see what was the status before implementation of the project and what is the status after completion of the project.
Got it. Okay. One more follow-up question there. So, in your bio, you'd also mentioned that you also do environmental impact as well. So, and we in the entire discussion that we had just now, we know that impact of environment and social kind of go hand in hand. So, can you probably explain that a little bit in terms of what it entails?
Actually, when we talk about the environmental impact assessment, it includes all 5 components: air, water, noise, soil, land. I think Namita, Supriya, they both might be aware about all these things. So environment means air, water, noise, soil, land. And when we talk about the social impact assessment, this last one is social impact assessment.
Got it.
Which includes the community people, local stakeholders. It's all community level. Environmental, That is also the same thing when we are going to establish any plant, any refinery, any industrial project or real estate project. Before that, we need to go for the due diligence, and after that, environmental and social impact assessment study. So, like same Shashwati, when we are talking about the social impact assessment study, social community parameters, quality of life, and all, in that way, we need to go for air, water, noise, soil, land, everything. We will monitor all these things. What is the status of all these environmental components before implementation of the project? And then again, what would be the impact after completion of this project? These are totally different, but sometimes we need to go for the ESI study that includes everything, all the components of environment at the same time, socio-economic component also. Sometimes you have to go for only EI study for any construction project, but for any industrial project, you have to go for the ESI study, environmental and so. Beside environment also, you have to go for the risk assessment study also. There are various components, but all these components are finally interconnected with social component. When we are talking about air, water, noise, soil, automatically they are going to affect to the community people also.
Correct. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot for explaining that.
I want to add this, Aswati. So,
Sure. I was actually coming to you, Supriya.
I wanted to close the loop on impact assessment. So, I mean, it has, actually gained a lot of prominence now. I mean, earlier, as part of the CSR activity, also many corporates was trying to do, whoever is funding to the projects for CSR wanted to do an impact assessment study. And we auditors, used to do a lot of impact assessment studies. And nowadays, because of the impact assessment report is also forming a sub part of a BRSR report. So as part of BRSR, we have to write, is the organization done an impact assessment? What has been the results? So indirectly, everything is getting tied up. Everything is falling in place. There are dots being connected. And so it all makes sense from a broader perspective now, right? So it's not like a standalone exercise, but it all forms and, forms part beautifully of a report which can be published annually. So this
Thank
is
you. You answered in everything what I wanted to ask you. See, this is what happens when you talk to people who are, who are passionate about what they want to do. Beautiful. Thank you so much. One last question to Ruhi. So Ruhi, right? Because you're into narratives, and all of us here, we are working either aligned in renewable energy sector, or like all of you, you're working within the renewable energy sector. But if you take a step back and if you see outside of the sector, you will see a lot of greenwashing, right? Because so this is the technicality of it actually working. So from your perspective, if you could just give a few words in terms of organizations who tend to have greenwashing, and why and how that can be mitigated, or if not mitigated, at least identified. If you can give some perspective on that.
Sashwati, I know a lot of corporates. I have been watching a lot of, hearing a lot of panel discussion. Have been a part of panel discussion wherein greenwashing has been discussed a lot. Though it is if in my per se, I will say that. I'm sorry. Your question was how will I identify?
So for example, there are two ways of going about it. One is somebody who inspires to be somebody like you, right? Because if somebody's trying to be a very, very kick-ass communication expert in renewable energy sector, or any sector for that matter, the first thing is to be able to identify the narrative. And only then can one change, right? Can actually someone go. So from that perspective, and even from a layman's perspective, like, the bunch of us sitting here, if we see something, like, because if you're read about it, you would know. But if you've not, how would you recognize? So from both, you could take it in any way.
So how would I recognize greenwashing, and how would I set my narrative for the greenwashing?
How would you set your narrative so that it is not greenwashing? Because that happens quite a lot.
I need to be transparent. My messaging needs to be clear. I need to know what I am doing. What the brand is doing. I need to collaborate well with my internal and external stakeholders, and then make a narrative that is clear and transparent. Transparency is the key. You
So
have to be,
basically, identifying would be whoever is not transparent is probably
yeah,
greenwashed.
yeah. So you first, like I said, that collaboration, partnership, and trust.
Right.
So when I'm talking to the internal stakeholders, when I'm talking to the stakeholders, they need to be transparent in terms of me to set the right messages. And when I am setting a narrative for the brand, my messages needs to be clear and transparent enough.
Got it.
Yeah.
That helps. Thank you so much. Because I do find a lot of greenwashing. There used to be a lot more actually a couple of years before. Now it's kind of slowing down a little bit because, people have been like, I don't think you're doing actually this. But thanks a lot. Thank you so much for helping us understand that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruhi. Thank you, Supriya. Thank you, Namita. And thank you, Suchitra, for being here, for helping us understand what you do in the renewable energy sector. Thank you for inspiring a lot more women who are about to walk in this sector in the coming future. In India, we are still at 11% of women's participation in this sector. Let's hopefully, when we do this next year, I'm really hoping that it would go up to 12%, if not more. If more, nothing like it. But thanks again, everyone. Thank you, Sindhu. This was amazing. Thank you, Vishal, for the coordination and everything that you do. Happy Women's Day, everyone. I hope all of you have a fantastic Friday and an evening ahead. Thank you.
Same
Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you, Shashwati. Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you.